Good morning, guys. Good morning. First Solar gets a $300 price target. And next tracker to supply T1 Energy with solar panel frames. Yeah, this thing has been awesome since this pivot down here. Very nice. Yeah, AMSC was also very nice. I didn't buy it yesterday. But wow, this thing's trading at 70 already. You bought BWXT. I thought BWXT was good a few weeks ago when it got right back through its high volume close 182. But nice job. I mean, 216 this morning. I'm not sure if there was news. I don't see that there was any news. No, I look at the stock's average daily range and I just want it to be, a couple, so let's just say the stock moves 4% per day, right? I only need it to be like 2% away from my buy in order for me to feel comfortable holding it. Do I think ATT might be ready to head up again? That name's not pulling up, so maybe you got the ticker symbol down incorrectly. Yeah, AMSC, very nice. SMR could also be interesting today. Obviously gapping up as well, and yeah, not too much of a surprise that Oklow's gapping up as well. Teledoc. TDoc doesn't look all that great. A little too volatile here for me. I would need it to tighten up some, but it is trying to get back above its 200. That's good. And then CRISPR is definitely much better. Let it tighten up a little. Is today a good day to trade? Well, any day could be a good day to trade so long as you're on the right side of the market. Well, AMSC is now gapping up, so no. If there was a spot to have bought AMSC yesterday, it was over last Friday's highs, and you would have been getting in something like 63. Now, I thought buying it off of 63 was a little too much because at that point, it was already up 10% when it only on average moves 8% per day. But obviously, this thing had, some other plans from that level. But I would be a little bit more cautious. A little bit more cautious chasing stocks up at the moment, but obviously that one worked. And I wouldn't really be buying this at the open at $70. Right, you're just gonna be chasing this thing up another 5% plus. Well, I don't really have anything on the short side, so all I have is a little piece of SQQQ, and that's not really working right now. I'm down about 20 cents on it, roughly, a little bit more. And I've got some UAMY short from yesterday as soon as we started falling in the morning. Um, so yeah, and I thought these metal names they got this is far too nuts too quickly. So I don't buy a stock when the market is weak. If I do, I make sure that it's uncorrelated to the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. So um, and I don't really determine if the SPY and the QQQ are going back up per se, but I look at bigger time frame moving averages, and as long as they're in an uptrend, then I'm fine with that. But I want to just make sure that if I'm buying a tech name, for instance, two things are happening. One, I'm focusing on stocks within the group, and I'm seeing more evidence that the group is being bought up. That's important. And then number two, I'm focusing on the shorter time frame than on the, like, let's say the Nasdaq, if I'm buying a semiconductor, for instance, and I'll be focused on the QQQ to make sure that I'm aligning myself within a market that's going higher, because and it doesn't even really have to be going higher per se in that moment. It just can't be getting dumped, because then all of a sudden, you're not giving your stock the best opportunity to work from your average. So as long as it's just in a bigger time frame uptrend and stocks within the group are acting well, and I've got buyable pivots, then that's really more so my focus. You're talking about AT&T, ticker symbol T. Well, here's a couple issues with it. One, it moves 1.7% per day. Two, it's below the 200 simple moving average. You shouldn't even be ever focused on something like this. There's absolutely no reason for you to even look at something like this. This thing trades $2 million a day. There's nobody on earth trading this thing. David, how are you from Spain? How are you, bro? Hopefully all is well out there. SATS, this thing has been doing exactly what you'd want after a stock made a really big move up and got extended from the 50. And the answer is it's been doing nothing, which is really good. This thing actually doesn't look all that bad now. It's tightened up very nicely. I guess what you would want to see is if it can get over Friday's highs. That's kind of what I'm looking at for a bunch of names. No, a lot of stocks, they're like this one, it's not nearly as extended anymore. Still about 5.5 times its ATR from the 50, but not so bad. Not so bad. OUST is a monster. Yeah, very nice to see this thing going. Yeah, good spot to have gotten in was yesterday, or really over Friday's highs. 31.90 roughly. Yeah, Google doesn't look too bad either. What's a way to get involved? Get involved when it breaks back above its 20 simple moving average. Problem with Google is it moves a little too slow. I mean, do you really want to own Google with how slow it moves? The way you could have played AMSC's breakout yesterday is a break over prior day high. I mean, it had a nice little low cheap pivot in here, and taking out Friday's highs, basically yesterday's highs, Friday's highs, look good. Or should I say, yeah, Monday's highs? Was this on Monday? Nope, that was Friday. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, that was Friday's highs. Yeah, taking out Friday's highs. But again, it felt like a little bit of chase based on the morning gap down and then the ramp by the time you got there. It had already moved almost 11% on the day. So, some of them you just got to let them go. Or option number two is you buy that breakout and you just size it way down. Where it's like at that point you're risking 9%, but you have a 4% position on, and then you look for an add-on position over the coming days. What is my approach to handling a market-wide gap up like today? Nothing. Let the market settle for the first, 20, 30 minutes of the day. This market gap up doesn't bother me because a few things. One, my ARC is gapping up, right? My GEV is effectively flat, no big deal. My Rocket Lab's gapping up $2. My Tesla's gapping up $5. And my short in UAMY is gapping down. So I'm getting paid on my longs, I'm getting paid on my short, and then my hedge is gapping down just a little bit, right? Nothing crazy, 40 cents. But my longs are gapping up. So my portfolio is green this morning, and I don't really have to do anything. I've got some longs that I think are interesting, but I'm not going to go and chase them higher in the morning. I'm going to give the market 30 minutes, and some might trigger a 5-minute opening range break, and I might act on those if the market's acting well, but I'll do it on a little smaller size because I don't really love chasing a gap up. And we'll just kind of take it from there. Like, guys, people don't ever have to be in a hurry. I feel like, Matthew, one of the things is like people are always like, they've got FOMO of missing out on stuff. And, oftentimes, like all the stocks that go on to make really big moves, like it seems like my eyes are always on them when they're supposed to be. I just don't always execute on them. So you kind of have to like rest in the fact that your eyes are usually in the right place, which mine are. So do I execute on everything? Definitely not. Do I paper cut myself being early sometimes? 100%. Right? Do I just let things go and then they just rip and ramp without me? Absolutely. Like AMSC yesterday. I was watching this thing literally yesterday as we're going through here, and I'm like, I'm just probably not going to buy that, right? So, my eyes tend to be in the right place at the right time. I just don't always buy stuff. So you kind of just have to remember it's a super, super long career, and you don't have to like be in a rush to do anything, right? Stocks either fall into your lap and you're really comfortable taking them, or they don't fall into your lap. Serves interesting with robotics. SYM's a little bit frustrating, man. Seeing this thing up at 76 just kills me. I bought this thing as it was going back through the 50-day. And then, obviously we had this little push, and then it came and stopped me out on 925, only for it to tighten back up and then rip from there. Sucked. Super, super shitty. And then Serve. Yeah, Serve looks all right. All right. I mean, it doesn't look incredible, but if SYM keeps going, Serve will probably keep going. I mean, Run's been super strong. I just don't see a setup here, right? And now it's gapping up even more. 2160s. Yeah, there's just nothing really clean about it. Look for it against descending moving averages. Thoughts on MU? The group is weakening up just a little bit. Could use a new base. See how like this thing spent a few months going sideways and then building a higher low on the bigger time frame? See that? So it just kept tightening up and then broke the nice flat pivot. Right? Well, MU's now very extended and then gave another little short high tight flag. But now we're just kind of, it's been a big move. It's been a big move. 30% away. Yeah, this is not buyable for me. Thoughts on MU is that it's just too far gone at the moment. So, and STX, WDC, these need new bases as well. Net doesn't look bad if it breaks the flat pivot. SE, I don't really see a setup here just yet. Maybe as it reclaims the 50-day, I don't know. Maybe even the 20-day. GWRE, is that Guidewire? Not bad, just slow. No, NXE, there's no setup. Oh, NXE. Oh, I was thinking NXT for a second. Yeah, NXE's not bad. It looks like, they're gapping it up this morning. Again, I didn't think this one was buyable over a prior day high because of, where it was coming from. Thoughts on Oklo and Futu? Well, Oklo's way too extended and there's no setup there, even though it could keep going higher. And Futu needs to get back above the 50. Yeah, NXE's interesting though. Dell is on my radar. We'll see if this can take out prior day high. 152.56. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm still looking at CoreWeave. So I tried buying this one yesterday. Basically as a bounce off the 20, but it just closed too weak for me to hold on to it. Do I recommend more risk exposure, like 3% total of your portfolio on one position? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is a terrible idea. There's nothing conservative about risking less than 1% of the portfolio on a trade. Right. There are times if you want to risk 3% of your account, you might have to have 100% of your account in there in some instances. That's not the way. Trust me. That's just going to lead to a short career. Do I think MP is a laggard compared to the theme? How is the one that started the whole theme a laggard, and how is the one that hit an all-time high yesterday a laggard? This is the one that kicked off the whole precious metals theme. So how could it possibly be the laggard? Nah, AVGO, just a little sloppy here. For me, I'm going to be leaving it alone. Etsy had some news with OpenAI, didn't they? Yeah, maybe. A little sloppy here, but yeah. No, ARQT, there's nobody trading this thing. Trading $2 million a day. Leave that alone. Net looks good if it could take out highs, and then also keep an eye on cybersecurity stocks if those start to go as well. I think that's kind of a good way to look at it. Well, I don't buy stocks more than 4 times their average true range above the 50. And I mean, there are, I'll break that rule a little bit. Like I'll go like 4.5 times or something like that. Maybe even 5 times if it's like a smaller cap that's super fast moving. But at 7, I'm looking to trim, and every ATR above 7, I'm trimming more. Yeah, nice job for Roblox getting back up above all key moving averages. I don't see a setup here just yet, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Getting back through the high volume close. Yeah, the one thing I don't want to see NVIDIA doing is losing its 50 simple moving average. We'll see what happens. Could maybe give us a higher low setup. We are trying to break yesterday's highs. 184.80. Yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes on this one today, but we'll see. Yeah, it could be that NVIDIA's a bounce off the 50, especially taking out today's highs. We'll see. EVLV. Yeah, not bad as well. Just thin for me, but yeah, not bad. Yeah, it's not a bad base. Considering only trades $35 million a day, that's not bad. Do I use pre-market action for indicators? I wouldn't say the word indicators, but like if something's gapping up, then I just kind of take my foot off the pedal right first thing in the morning. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't know much about this name. But yeah, I mean, if you were watching this thing and you had it on your radar, I like how tight it got right against the 20. Trades quite a bit of volume too. 60 million bucks a day, quite a bit of dollar volume. Not bad. SENet, Light, FTAI. It sounds like you're in some pretty dang good names too. Yeah, I don't hate them. It just depends where you add them, but yeah, they look pretty good. Lunar, I think this one is the laggard in the sector. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little catch up. I think this is also an aerospace and defense name. Let me see. Lunar. Yeah, aerospace and defense. So it's in the right group, right? Like if Rocket Lab were to continue higher and ASTS were to continue higher and AVAB were to continue higher, Joby and all these others, then Lunar could do well. Yeah, I am watching Tesla, and I'm really looking for ads above this Friday's highs, right? 444 basically, or sorry, 443.15 effectively. Has to kind of clear this ugly down day. If it can do that down the road, then I'd be a buyer. I don't know if I'd be a buyer today, but we'll see. Yeah, this inside day is also kind of interesting, getting back above the 10 and the 20. SMTC. Yeah, I mean, you start to clear 74, it's likely you go to an all-time high, but pullbacks against ascending moving averages have been pretty good. Why did I short UAMY? Well, I don't know, you tell me. Does this look like going into yesterday? Does this look like healthy price action to you? Where something gaps up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a seventh day in a row, and then hits $21 in after hours from just being, I mean, let's just think about it for a second. In 10 trading sessions, it's up 200%. Does that seem healthy to you? Of course not. So there's an opportunity there for me to short it. So I went ahead and, you ever heard of the low hanging fruit? That's me making money on low hanging fruit. Right? And it makes up for plenty of paper cut losses that I've had on the long side, going after some low hanging fruit. And now we're gapping up down another dollar this morning. So, I'm not looking to be a buyer up here, and I don't think anybody with a couple of, brain cells is also looking to be a buyer up here. They've got plenty of profits to lock up, and so they do. And you've got, plenty of short sellers who want to short it up there, and so they do. So that's not saying UAMY can't go higher, but before it does, it would need to build a whole new base. And, these names, they're probably closer to getting their ass kicked than everybody believes. There's going to be a risk off day probably sooner than most people think. And, when that happens, I would assume these rare earth names are also included in that ass kicking. Well, for me, it's going to be a little bit different, Clark. So the dollar volume that I'm going to be trading versus, somebody else is going to be fairly different. So I can't really trade stocks that are trading below 50 million. And even in that scenario, like I have to size them down. I can't get my full position size. Like even 100 million sometimes, like I can't get my full position size. It's just trading like not enough volume, throughout the day. So, like 100 million, 150 million, like that starts to become a little bit easier, like 100 million, call it, is like the minimum. But for some people, you can go to 80, 70, 50. Like I can get down there too. I just really have to size it down. And then the problem is that, if I were to size in properly and take a little less size on something that's only trading like 50, 60 million, then even if it makes a super nice move, it doesn't really move the needle. And that's the problem, right? I want to be able to get enough size onto something that if it works, it moves the needle. But if something's trading 20 million bucks a day and, I can only take a 100K position, then it's just not really moving the needle if it goes on to double or triple. So, and again, how often do stocks actually double and triple? Yeah, I like FSLR. Problem with an FSLR one is I hate channeling charts, and this thing that's all it's been doing. It's just like channeling higher. I see like no flat pivot. I see nothing for me to really get involved there. I think Tesla still looks great. No, I don't think AMD's too high to buy. I think AMD looks fine. A little bit more sideways here would be sweet. Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I thought UAMY was. And you guys, I didn't talk about it yesterday, but it was something that I was talking about in the room. And I even talked about it on last night's watch list or the prior night's watch list video. My year-to-date win rate is 38%. If you could ask me that part again, and I'll see if I can pull you up the exact percent of my average winner versus my account and my average loser versus my account. It's a great question, and I'll look that up for you, and I'll give you a better answer tomorrow if you ask me. Yeah, CoreWeave looks interesting. I bought it yesterday. It closed fairly crappy, so I let it go. I'm not going to sit with something overnight that is closing weak, and it had me in the red. So I just ate my little bit of a red trade, and yeah, could be good to go, today. But I'll keep my eyes on it first thing in the morning. I don't really know what the market's going to do. Right? Is the market going to rip and ramp from this gap up, or is it going to sell off just a little bit? I don't know. Is there a reason I didn't get back in Serve? I never bought Serve. You mean SYM? Yeah, there's no reason I never got back in Serve because I never owned it. And then SYM, I should have rebought it back on October 1st. Big mistake. Yeah, AMAT for semis has been acting well recently. And we are kind of gapping up out of this little bull flag. 224.50. Interesting. Yeah, a little sloppy, but yeah, I think RYTM could still be a buy. I don't know if it's a new buy or just an add-on, but it still looks really good. And it's not even just RYTM. ALNY also looks really good too. Almost like an identical setup. Look, there's RYTM. There's ALNY. Nice job on bigger volume taking out Friday's highs. Nice job also taking out the high volume close of earnings day, 1535. It doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad. MDB, similar deal. Just got to take out Friday's highs. Just has to take out Friday's highs. SNDK is still too extended from the 50. And what's the real problem? Although this can easily go higher, right? What's the real issue with SNDK? The stocks that it went up with are starting to break down just a touch. And STX starting to break down just a touch. So I would be a little bit more cautious ever chasing something that's extended and where its peers are starting to weaken. Trying to be better timing entries timing entries on the market after correction like Friday, and the volatility that comes after. I want to be patient, limit paper cuts, don't want to miss the boat. Any tips? Use progressive exposure. I mean, that keeps you out of harm's way. Don't get more positions until what you already have open is seeing some traction. Like if you're not invested at all, start with one name at a time. No, if I could, I mean, I'll have, up to 15 names. Right now, I only have six. So, and again, it's not for lack of effort. It's just getting shaken out of stuff. Like, I got shaken out on that nasty dump on the final piece of my Oklo. And I never rebought it, although I thought that $115 level looked pretty good. I got shaken out of SYM. Yesterday I got shaken out of CoreWeave. So I should have reshorted MSTR back through the 200-day. So it's like, and I got shaken out on the pop on my short. So it's like, I could easily have 10, 12 names open right now, but you kind of got to manage your risk in real time and not let a small loss get bigger. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 15 positions at 20, you've got way too many. But 15 is good, 12 is good. Depends how big your portfolio is, right? The smaller your account is, the little bit bigger positions you want to have. Like if you've got a 100K account, you only probably want 7 positions max. SoFi I thought was buyable a few weeks ago, right off the 50, and sure enough, it bounced at the 50 yesterday again. I don't know that this is good to go until we clear Friday's highs. Just very simply, we're going to have to clear Friday's highs. Right? There's distribution in there. You want to clear that. Yeah, A-Lab is something you leave alone. Yeah, I mean, possible oversold bounce, that's a day trade setup. That's not a swing trade setup. And I avoid I avoid day trading altogether. And I'm 100% not going to come into A-Lab and chase a 10-point gap up. This thing closes at like 161 and now we're at 170. There's just no chance that I'm buying that. No, thank you. I need price to tighten up. I definitely don't just ball falling knives. GRAB. No. Let it build out its base a little bit better. ARQT. Oh, got it. Not bad. Not extended from the 50. A little thin. Sub 40 million bucks a day. Super choppy. Like, look at what this thing historically does. Terrible and terrible price action. Did you imagine sitting in this thing since like for 18 months? And this would drive me insane. Yes, it's like slowly going higher, but like this would kill me. Yeah, AMD a little bit longer. A little bit longer. I would trade penny stocks. I personally thought this bid F setup right here was beautiful when this huge pickup in volume came in the right group. Right? And now all of a sudden it's trading, $140 million this day. So yeah, I trade penny stocks. Penny stocks being anything under $5. What do I think of the ARM news? They've had news for a little bit. Just too wide and loose up here. Too wide and loose. I think the ARM news is fine, but more than the news, I need a clean setup. Well, in most instances, the high volume close is very important because on earnings day, that's where institutions either supported the stock or that's up to the price that they were willing to buy it. So Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how more of these names play out. But yeah, high volume closes can be important because that was the level of interest for institutions. BBAI, not really a name for me, but yeah, running up. Yeah, NXE could be actionable, maybe. Doesn't look bad. Does not look bad. Yeah, it's not even extended from the 50. No, I mean, you don't really know unless the group is trading some big volume right at the open. You don't really know how it's going to act for the day, right? But normally, if you've got a few names that are in the same group, kind of bunched together in a watch list, you could tell fairly quickly if they're going to act well right at the open. But again, things can change. That's why you have to manage your risk in real time. Yes, I still use an intraday. I use a 5 minute typically. Break over prior day high, 5 minute opening range breaks, undercut rallies, 620 setups. For me, they all occur on a 5 minute chart. I don't see percent distance from 50-day on Thinkorswim. What I do is I'll take, this little trend line tool and I'll click where the 50 simple moving average is at, and I'll take it up to where price is at, and then I'll divide it by the average daily range. And then that's how I get that, or I use the bot in the room, and then I can just put it in and it tells me the ATR from the 50. So yeah, VST to me looks very nice. We will see what these look like into the morning. GEV and VST and NRG. Was there news on CoreWeave in the last 30 minutes? Bank names very strong. I thought I saw Morgan Stanley up this morning. Yeah, very good. It's exactly what you want to see, almost all-time high. And then yesterday, Wells Fargo, and the Russell was ripping because all of the regional banks were doing well yesterday. Yeah, KTOS doesn't look bad. Yes, I do look for earnings growth. That's one of the things that I like to see the most is accelerating earnings and sales. STX is coming down. This is which is part of the reason that I don't really like SNDK at the moment. No. AEVA, where's the momentum? So you're telling me the most recent action for this name since July is down and then a bunch of sideways? Like, let it go back up and then let it tighten back up. Like, yes, I understand it might be trying to go back up, but doesn't really look like there's a ton of momentum there just yet. Reddit looks like a short setup 100%. It does not look that great, I'll tell you that. Rare earths have been trading more as a flight to safety. Yeah, they've been trading kind of off the headline news between China and the United States, where China won't export rare earths, and so we got to get them. And then Apple had the big investment in MP, and then it just becomes a self-perpetuating theme, and that's fine. But my UAMY is down $1.50, since the overnight. So yeah, very good. I mean, they're also shortable too. I don't know that they have to be a quote unquote flight to safety. The moment that China and the United States resolve any kind of their rare earth issues, it's going to be a colonoscopy for these names. I mean, the stock has gone from 17 cents to $20 this year. I mean, let's be serious. Well, if you are still long UAMY, but you have trimmed it, you're holding your last partial. Would you sell the last partial? I mean, dude, the 20 simple moving average, you would have to be holding. If when you start to get this extended from the 50, I'm normally out into that parabolic move, knowing that this thing would need to build a whole new base. But if you want to hold it using the 20, that's a hell of a way down, dude. A hell of a way down. Yeah, I actually think if the dollar keeps acting well, then eventually gold is going to get its ass kicked sooner rather than later. But I don't know when that is. I don't have an interest in shorting gold personally. No, I don't use any monthly's expiration on options contracts to make any decisions. CCJ is still a buy. I don't think so. No. LOAR is also an aerospace and defense name. And I don't know that I love this one, but yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't keep targets on stocks. If they get 7 times their ATR from the 50, I trim, and then every ATR above 7, I trim some more. Yeah, Tesla doesn't look too bad. I would look to add if we can clear Friday's highs. And I'm hopeful that that's not today, but if it happens today, I might consider taking a couple more. Why short sell and pay fees just instead of just going long the inverse ticker? Does UAMY have an inverse ticker? I already know the answer to that question. And so that should also answer your question. Is there a rare earth inverse ticker for UAMY? I don't think so. Wayfair? Nah. Needs to get back above the 50 and then tighten back up. Yeah, daily low for my stops. Yeah, daily low. If you go on YouTube, I talked about how to scan. I made a couple of videos. Just look them up. They should be under playlist. And I can make a few more if you guys feel like you need help with learning to scan. CLS, what do I think of the base? It's kind of lagging the general market, which is a bit of an issue. Right? It's been doing nothing now for 30 trading days, month and a half, right? That's not so good. Nah, Mara's also another laggard. Don't know that I love this one either. Just way too much volatility here. This would make me sick. How many people are in my streams? 200, I think, roughly. Think about that, maybe. A little bit less some days. Do I ever place a trade based on the weekly chart? No, I take my entries based on the daily. But if the daily looks really good, then you also know the weekly looks good. Barrick. Yeah, Barrick Gold. I just don't like gold up here at the moment. I see your message, dude. Well, what's your message? He said, where can I send message where I see it? I see it. But what's the message? Is the message how to send a message? SMR looks pretty decent though. If Oklo and the others are going to keep going, SMR is fairly interesting. Again, I don't feel good about chasing any kind of gap ups right now. It's not really in my bag of tricks today, really, or in general. I'm happy to chase a gap up when the market's coming out of a big correction, like more than 6%, 2%, 3% corrections, no. But if I'm looking at the market that just had a 6-7% correction and then stocks are gapping up out of clean, bases, then I'll go ahead and do it. But like buying gap ups right now in this market, I'm good. No, chat's not delayed. It's just I'm scrolling through a bunch of messages and it's like it's hard to answer them all as more messages are coming in. So I'm still working on the messages that came in 5 minutes ago. No, there's gonna be no IBIT for me, man. There's gonna be no IBIT for me at the moment. So there's just no setup here, right? There's just nothing. It kind of rejected these all-time highs. It's below the 50 simple moving average. Yeah, there is no long IBIT or Bitcoin right now. In fact, Bitcoin looks weak. Bitcoin's below the 50. You get your ass kicked, and then you even break those lows. And then even today, it kind of looks like it's trying to roll over some more. No. Mm-mm. Datadog. I just don't really see a setup. You want to know when Datadog looked pretty good? Either on 9/26 or really on 10/1 out of this little inside day. Yeah, OUST is nice. I don't know that I'm chasing it. I thought it was buyable yesterday. Zscaler is interesting if CrowdStrike, Net, and PanW are acting well. Yeah, I'm hopeful that SMR doesn't just rip here. Yeah, Scotland, I agree with you 100%. Market character subtly changed on Friday. What we have right now is kind of some lagging mega caps, and we have speculative stocks going absolutely bananas. And that doesn't give me warm and fuzzy feelings. It doesn't give me warm, fuzzy feelings. Now, I think the mega caps, it's good to see financials shape up, right? It's good to see home builders bounce on the 200. So there are some things that, fine, the XLV and the XHB, those are acting better. And maybe that's where rotation is taking place. But it's just like, you get these mega caps not doing a whole bunch of anything. If NVIDIA ends up being a failed breakout, that would be pretty bad and loses the 50-day. You've got some former leaders, obviously A-Lab and CRDO, and money likes to rotate too, so I don't find it as that big a deal. But yeah, we'll see. I don't get super bulled up on the market when I'm watching a bunch of pre-revenue kind of shitty stocks go absolutely vertical. I even made a thumbnail yesterday where it's like the poop emoji, flying a rocket. It's on a rocket. So that's literally kind of what it resembles right now. That's like the environment we're in. And is it just because the IWM is also near an all-time high? Maybe, I don't know. But obviously regional banks were doing pretty well yesterday too. So that helps. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm with you. It's not the time to be putting on a ton of risk. That's my feeling as well. So we'll see. We'll see. It kind of just feels like we're going to have a big risk off day one of these days in the nuclear, the data center, the quantum, the rare earth, and it's just going to happen kind of all at once. But we'll see. The COT on Bitcoin is neutral. The COT on Ethereum, the last time it was reported by the CFTC, was very, very crowded on the long side, but they haven't reported in a few weeks. TEM a little too choppy, and path, there's nothing here at the moment. Maybe when it pulls back, it's just so extended from the 50, there's nothing there. So anyway, guys, appreciate you all for being here. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Hopefully you guys trade them well today. I'm going to be doing a little bit of sitting on my hands for the first 20, 30 minutes of the day. And we'll see of my watch list what triggers and what does not. Any questions, you guys know where to find me on X or in the room. And I will talk to you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Thanks, Strada. Appreciate that. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.